Welcome to the Cam and Otis Show, special edition, special New Year's edition, special. Wait, I'm going to keep adding the specials in. We'll see how many I can get. Special 2021 edition, but ironically, recorded in 2020.
It's also the special 2020 finale edition.
There you go, the 2020 finale edition to lead to the special 2021 edition. And in the world of modern technology, the fact that we're recording this in the past and it's now the future when we're seeing this.
Whoa, man.
Yeah, how's that for being present in the moment? Because how's that thing go? That I used to always say, if I said it all the time, I'd remember it. That is, you can't change the past. You can only predict the future, but you can create the future you want by living in the present. Something like that. I think I change it around every couple of months because I don't say it for a while and then I forget. So.
Well, the point is live in the present.
Being present in the moment. I mean,
we could jump into any number of Stoic quotes about being anxious about the future and how that makes you an anxious person, because you just got to live in the moment. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about the future. Just live in the moment.
Oh, it's true.
I was just going to say, which is great advice for the end of the year and moving into a new year, because I think that the planning aspect that people get into, as great as it is and how much I love planning and goal setting and all that kind of stuff and how much we talk about it, you also kind of just got to treat it like every other day. You know, that person who posts on Facebook every year and says, guys, this is made up, time is only relative, and starts talking about the rotation of the earth. Yeah, they're right too. That's the fun thing about life, is they're right also. And it doesn't matter that much, but we make it matter, and you can do with that what you will.
Well, I said it in this week's newsletter, or last week's newsletter, last week, the last newsletter of 2020. How about that? The last edition. There's edition again. The last edition of 2020 was the fact that we as Americans are tied to this Julian calendar time frame of creating anew when we change years. And I find it really ironic because the majority of people who make that commitment to do a change just because it's the new year don't follow through on that change.
Mm-hmm.
They're rah. Let's go. This is awesome. And I don't remember. I think it's something like 90% don't follow through on their what are they called? Resolutions. Their New Year's resolutions. It's probably even higher than maybe like it's 90% don't follow through in the first month, and then that other 10%, 90% of that 10% don't follow through after 3 months or something like that. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty dismal, and the whole reason is because everybody says, hey, 1 January, I'm going to change all these things, as opposed to today, I start changing what I want to do and going forward that way.
It goes for the big explosive change rather than the incremental change. And as much fun as we all like to think big explosive changes, it's the incremental change that actually lasts. But in order to have incremental change, it needs to be an intrinsic motivation. And when you're extrinsically motivated by something arbitrary, like a date on the calendar, that date goes away. It's just that simple, I think.
There you go. I mean, there's a good psychological way of looking at it: extrinsic and intrinsic motivation of what's driving you to change. Mm-hmm. You know, and here's an interesting philosophy on that one: losing weight. Mm-hmm. If your britches don't fit, is that an extrinsic motivation or is that an intrinsic motivation?
I'd say that's extrinsic.
Why is that?
So I think it's extrinsic because it's something that can easily change. Unfortunately, most people might just go buy the new pair of jeans instead of taking a look at themselves more seriously. But I think that I think a lot of extrinsic motivators, though, have the opportunity to become intrinsic. I think that's something that's really interesting, that because if you take that extrinsic factor and you think about it and you really process it properly into what it means for you, then you can turn it into an internal energy. You know, it's like I heard a comment from somebody talking about their friend who was putting on a lot of weight, and he started busting his balls about it, calling him fat and all this kind of stuff. And he's not trying to be mean to his buddy. He's trying to get him to start living healthier and those type of things. And the interesting take that his friend had on it was it's only bullying if you let it affect you in a negative way rather than a positive way. If your friend's calling you fat every morning, then and it drives you to go work out, you're turning into an intrinsic motivation to go and be better.
That's right. I mean, that's a great point, because what's an accountability partner? It could be an accountability partner or a bully, right? I mean,
Yeah.
hey, did you get that done? You said you're going to do that. Did you get that done? Or a nag, either way, one of those three. Either a partner that's going to help you move along and stay focused, make that change and guide, kind of hold you to what you said, be a nag about it, or be a bully. And that's an interesting way of looking at it. And I think the whole intrinsic to or extrinsic to intrinsics is an interesting philosophy too, because an extrinsic thing can become an indicator to an intrinsic change needing to happen. And so, in other words, you go in the closet and you pull on a pair of breeches and all of a sudden they don't fit. And you're like, wait a second, did those go in the dryer, or did I eat too much at Christmas?
Right.
You look at it and that's an indicator that may step you into something else and go do another indicator, validate it and go, holy shit, I gained 15 pounds in the last week and a half. So,
and I think that also, and this is the interesting thing I think about motivations, is it also can open up a little window into how people view the world, in the sense of, I think the term is the locus of control, where it's if you take the external factor, that extrinsic motivation of your jeans not fitting, if you blame the dryer, if you blame something else that's not you, you're somebody who feels like the world is happening to you. But if you're somebody who says, oh, you know what? Hey, I just did spend a week in Mexico with my in-laws and I did eat tamales 3 meals a day. Yeah, no, that was probably me. And I'm going through that right now. But you got to be able to look at things and say, look, is this an outside factor? Is this an inside factor? Was it me? Was it someone else? And I think that when people, you have to be able to balance those two things, of course. If you're looking at something entirely externally or entirely internally, you're not going to have a happy life, because the fact is you only control only so many things, and you got to accept the things that are outside of your control too.
Exactly. I mean, that's the path to happiness, right? Is accepting the things that you can control and the things that you cannot, and then how you allow the things that you cannot control to affect you. Now, yeah. I was thinking about plans for 2021 and what it to do with business.
We're going to mess that up at least twice this episode.
I came really close. You heard that long pause.
Oh, yeah.
What to do about business, how to grow the business and things like that. And I was like, oh, well, I want 10U this and 10U that. And then I was like, wait a second. I could have the best campaigns out there, the most influential marketing stuff, the best speeches, the best marketing plan and campaign and all these sort of things. It ain't going to make people buy, because I can't control what they do. So I started to change what my business goals are for 2021 just by doing that. Because I look back on 2020 and in all honesty, I would have each quarter, I want this many more clients. I want this many more of this many. Well, yeah, that's all well and good, but I can't control how many people buy my product. What I can control is how many people I talk to, how many videos I may post on social media, how much stuff I put out to draw people in, and how many people I may contact and talk to about the product. But I can't control whether or not they pull out their wallet. It also reminds me of a sales saying that a friend of mine taught me, and I don't know where it came from. Probably, I'm going to guess it's Zig Ziglar, but who knows?
It's a decent guess for a sales quote.
Yeah. Well, it is. You can't tell the right person the wrong thing, and you can't tell the wrong person the right thing. It's really simple, but if you step back and think about it, and by the way, the wrong person can become the right person over time if they make the change. But again, you can't make them change. It's their decision to make. And how much more comforting is that, especially when you talk about sales, is to know that I'm not the one, I didn't screw up. I gave them my best. Here's my products. There's this, and this. And they said, no, thank you. Well, you know what? That was their choice. I can't make them choose. And by the way, unless you're selling like a product, a hardcore product, you're selling services like I am, like Verby does, and you get somebody, you hard sell and you get them bought in to buy, and then they're always in that angst of they wish they wouldn't have as soon as they wrote the check. They're not going to be a good client for you. So it doesn't make sense in that sense to try and force the wrong person to become the right person, to maneuver them, to connive them, to do mental gymnastics and get them, changing no to yes. Well, changing no to yes doesn't mean doing mental gymnastics and screwing the person over and getting them and tricking them. Changing no to yes means finding out what their problem is so that they do say yes.
Exactly. And, I want to expand on a metaphor I think we use a lot, and especially in the entrepreneur world, is the someone calling your baby ugly. That's what it feels like when no one buys your product. But, as I'm thinking through that and you were talking there, think about it. If, you've been through this, you've had kids and you didn't have them in the social media area, and I'm not there yet, but a lot of people post pictures of their kids. A lot of people want to show you their kids. Who really wants to see your kid? No matter how many times you show the person who doesn't care about your kid a picture of your cute little baby, they're not going to care. It doesn't matter how cute your baby actually is. Like, look at the literal example of what the metaphor is, man. Like, no matter how much you show them or how cute your baby is or what kind of outfit you put them in for Halloween, if that person doesn't care, they're never going to care. And that's exactly what the sales thing is like. And do you take that personally on your baby actually being ugly? No, that person just really doesn't care about it. And I think that, it's another one of those, I think the analogies, as you continue to go down those rabbit holes on them, they can be more and more true, right?
Well, you can't talk about an ugly baby without bringing up the Seinfeld episode about the ugly baby. And, if you haven't seen it, you got to look it up because it's hilarious. Because what is it? Everybody says all babies are cute. And they're dealing with a friend whose baby is ugly.
Oh gosh.
And I can't remember enough about it. I can visualize some of the stuff in my head, but not enough to repeat it. But yeah, sometimes your baby is ugly, and you know what? You got to admit it.
And the good thing about being an entrepreneur is if your baby's ugly, you can change your baby.
That's right. That's right.
Well, and I think that we can segue now. We're talking about the extrinsic and intrinsic motivations. And I think what you're doing and what you're working on here and the changes that you're making are really interesting examples of that. When we talk about, getting into tribe and purpose, how your purpose is very much as intrinsic and as strong of an intrinsic motivator as you could pretty much come up with. I think that really comes down to that's what's getting people out of bed in the morning. And then I think the interesting thing about the tribe side of it is it provides the extrinsic motivators that you need to complement that intrinsic motivation. Because if it's all just intrinsic, you're going to wind up drinking the Kool-Aid and those type of things. You need that external activity as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll just take a step back and give a little bit of a, not really history, but just a little bit of a story on this because, LTO Enterprises started that 10 years ago. 10 years ago.
Tell people what the name came from? Do people know?
Yeah. So Camden's big sister, my oldest child and daughter, Sierra, when we lived in Germany, started a Facebook group because I was doing the typical dad thing. And I think there's somebody had released something around that time of dad sayings and stupid shit my dad says or something like that.
I think Shatner had a TV show, but you might have been a little earlier, honestly.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole sidebar about when you have an idea and you think it's good, you better run with it because there's other people that are doing the same thing.
Oh yeah, obstacle course races, right?
Yeah.
You could be a millionaire right now. Holy
Oh
crap, the
yeah.
people pay for those. But all right,
Uh,
sidebar. Sorry.
yep. But the the name LTO Enterprises really was I thought of on a whim because I'd left a company I was working for, uh, and I had a friend of mine who wanted me to come do some consulting work, and it's like, well, okay, I need a company name, and I scratched my head for just a little bit, and Miss Suzanne came in, and as I was trying to figure something out, and said, "What about Listen to Otis?" And I was like, "Oh, I can't call it Listen to Otis. That's, that just seems silly." But then I said, "Well, what about LTO? Because I can put a play on LTO for the external of leadership training and operations, and then the internal of Listen to Otis, which I never finished that. So Sierra actually created a Facebook page. I've never gone on to see if there is one, if it's still there or what happens to Facebook, but this is probably 14, 15 years ago, and created a Listen to Otis Facebook page. Uh, and that's where LTO came from. And I slapped enterprises on because I was like, oh well, need to make it sound like this big important corporation. Because also at the time I wasn't pursuing true entrepreneurship. I was hobby jobbing. People would hire me as a consultant. I'd go do that for a little while, and then I'd take a job with a company and work for the man again. I wouldn't call that entrepreneurship, although, I can say I established LTO Enterprises 10 and a half years ago. Uh, but over time, I never realized that nobody knew what that meant. People always got a chuckle out of the the true origin of Listen to Otis, but nobody when they run across LTO Enterprises, nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew what LTO Enterprises did, whether it was when I was consulting or in my leadership and coaching development that I do now. Nobody knew what it was. So, this year of transitions, I don't know, every day is a transition, right?
Right.
Uh, Getting into the deep philosophical, I don't want to counter say myself, but as things change and you meet people, ideas, you come up with new ideas and new thoughts. And, this year, about 2, 3 months ago, probably 3 months ago, now that I think about it, I had the opportunity to meet a guy who does branding, Ethan. And Ethan's brand, we unfuck, that's what they do. And Ethan and I hit it off, and we started chit chatting and talking and come up with some ideas. And he said, "Hey, well, what is this LTO thing? What does that mean?" And I'm like, "Well, I gave him the story I just said." And so he says that sucks. We gotta fix that. We gotta unfuck it. uh, so we started talking some more, and what fell out of it was the true definition of what I do: tribe and purpose. I help people come together and create a tribe of people who have a like mind effort and like commonality, because you got to have some sort of commonality to draw you together to create that tribe, whether it's veterans, people who live in Colorado, kids, kids of veterans, whatever, entrepreneur, whatever that commonality is. You have to have something to pull them together to have that connection, and then they have to have a reason to move forward, and that reason to move forward that holds them together is survival in its purest sense and purest definition, but not survival like the saber-toothed tiger is going to eat me, but more like I want to succeed. I want to find my purpose. In caveman times, your purpose was survival. We don't have to worry about a whole lot of things anymore. There are times and places where those things will pop up, but generally speaking, in our Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the first four are taken care of, generally speaking. The first three for sure.
Right.
And then moving into the fourth and fifth is where the tribe helps to fill that. And then the other piece of that is purpose. And like you already mentioned before, that purpose is the thing that gets you going. And it's the in that blank space of time, and you go, well, I finished all that. Now what? Purpose is your guide in the white space of your day.
Mm-hmm.
Purpose helps you determine what's going on and guide you with intentionality on what to do, as opposed to waking up and reacting, waking up and doing. Let's see what the next email leads to. Let's see what the next social media post leads to. That's not intentionality, that is reaction. And when you live with your purpose as your guide, then you live with intentionality and move in a direction to fulfill your purpose. And the other thing about that, and Viktor Frankl talks a lot about this in Man's Search for Meaning, is purpose keeps you alive. So think back to the caveman times again and survival. Your purpose was to survive. Your purpose was to get food. Your purpose was to have shelter, and those things, and how you can have that more easily and work together and create that. Viktor Frankl in the concentration camp and surviving Auschwitz and Dachau, and I think he was in one or two others that I don't recall, realized that purpose, people having a purpose, is what kept them alive. The ones that didn't just get randomly selected or killed by the Nazis, but that purpose is what kept them alive every day, and how their mind helped their body survive in the absolute worst conditions of starvation and cruelty and just brutality of life. Their purpose, whatever it may have been, to get back home to see their wife or kids, or to fulfill a something that they were working on before. Like in Viktor Frankl's case, he had a manuscript when he went to the his first concentration camp, and had to throw that. The Germans took it, of course. And his part of his purpose, not only was it to see his wife again, but was to rewrite that manuscript of the book he'd been working on, his life work, as he thought it was at the time. And that helped him survive. So that purpose really helps you not only have a good day, but a great day, and live with happiness. Because at the end of the day, when you live with purpose and you do things with purpose, you do it because you wanted to, not because you had to. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of derivatives that we were hitting on earlier, external and internal and things like that. But in general speaking, if you truly live your life with purpose and use that purpose to guide everything you do, it pulls you towards happiness. Mm-hmm. The more purposeful you are, both in action and in mind, the happier you will be. So that's the long definition of tribe and purpose.
It was good, but one of the things you're talking about there about how things can be complicated, and of course, I think this is where people get lost on these sort of things sometimes, because it can go so back and forth on the extrinsic and intrinsic and all that kind of stuff. But the easy example is, if you're looking for success, if you're wanting to follow your purpose, you're going and working your job, starting your business, whatever it is. We all need money to live. We all got to pay rent. We all like the stat, or most of us, I would say, like the status. When you get to print out that business card that has your name on it, says CEO, all that cool stuff, right? That's all really nice. But those are the extrinsic things that don't last. And that's the tricky thing, is as soon as you get that check, cash is no longer a motivator, but your purpose stays. That's the big difference there. And that's what really defines, the intrinsic motivations on things like that. But I think the interesting thing there is, as you're going through, you're talking about survival. I think that, I'm not going back to the behaviorist stuff of, hundreds of years, or not that long ago. Some sciences are young, but, not that long ago, of thinking that everything is pre-programmed and it's all based on, stimulus and all this stuff of how we act. But that's different. We all obviously plan. We plan for the future like we all are now. And we have all these different motivational factors that come in, different incentives that come
I
into
know
play.
a lot of people that don't plan for the future. They just do. So
Right. Well, but those people that just do and they don't plan for the future at all, then they're generally going to be in that category of less successful, and their survival is not going through. They're going through the motions. They're surviving. They're not thriving. They're not taking that to the next level there, right?
they're never happy either. They're never satisfied with what they have
Mhm.
because of
And I think that it's an interesting piece of the lizard brain when you start looking at that. And I've heard the joke before. One of my favorite shows has it in it, Futurama. Make the joke about how everything that civilization has built was man's quest for mating. The only reason that guy got good at science and and discovered gravity was because he wanted to impress the girl down the street and all these type of things. And it's a little bit of a stretch, but I think it's this interesting part of the lizard brain where really all that's going on back there is survive and thrive, survive and thrive, survive and thrive over and over and over again. And it just plays out differently in the modern world than it would with the saber-tooth tiger or anything like that. But I think understanding it as the lizard brain makes it a lot simpler to think about how it affects you in your real life. And understanding that lizard brain aspect of it allows you to hack it, which I know is one of the things you and I have talked about casually, not that much on the show, but it's the interesting thing of what can you do to take that weird lizard brain thing in the back of our heads and turn it on and make it work for you rather than against you.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's passion. What is passion? Passion is those things that give you instant gratification that you enjoy doing over and over for a period of time. Because passions are fleeting, if you will. Now, some may last longer or whatever, but then they have to truly be pulled into what becomes your values also. And when you get into that lizard brain thinking, that is the value of procreation is that thing that's in our head of driving you to having creating other life, right? How do you do that? And the other way you can think about that in a similar sense is, once if you're thinking in the procreation, and I'm trying not to go too far down the sexual education road because I don't know enough about it, but I do know that is what you're referring to, is that using that same motivation to drive you and pull you forward. And it doesn't have to do with sex, it has to do with procreation.
Right.
And how do you procreate? How do you enable your tribe to survive? What can you do? If like one of the things that I'm passionate about is helping veterans or helping active duty service members transition to becoming veterans. And that to me is giving back to my tribe, my veteran tribe, and ensuring that those guys and gals that I work with and coach have a clear path. They understand what their purpose is after
Right.
leaving the military, and that becomes their passion that pulls them forward.
And I think when you talk about giving back like that into a tribe, and I think that kind of ties into the lizard brain. So obviously we're social creatures. We've talked about that before. As social creatures, we like to be around people, all that kind of stuff. But I think that when you talk about feeding back into a tribe, it really reminds me of, like we were just saying with the lizard brain, of passing on the genes. Now, it's not literal genes in that sense, but it's ideas, it's passions, it's motivation. When I go coach rugby, just like you're talking about with the veteran community, when I'm out there coaching rugby, I joke about, I just want one kid to love it as much as I did. And I go out there every day just trying to make one kid fall in love like I did. And if I can do that, then I'm happy because I'm replacing myself in it. How literal is that for the metaphor there of, hey, I got to have this kid so I can replace myself. That's all I'm really doing with my tribe, is I want to get as many people out there loving rugby just like I did.
You've got to create 2.3 rugby players in your
exactly. Got to get that replacement rate.
That's the I guess the procreation rate that you have to have, right?
Yeah, the natural replacement rate or whatever the term is.
Yeah. Well, no, the 2.3 used to be the average American family.
Oh.
I never looked it up. I just remember there was a time period where it used to pop up in the news and people would talk about it all the time. How, the American family, a man, woman, 2.3 kids, a dog, and a cat, or something like that, kind of almost in a joking sort of fashion. Whether or not any of it was accurate, I don't know.
Oh,
But
quick. I was going to say quick rabbit hole. I bet you that number's got to be getting close to one at this point. Two people could probably be replaced by almost one the way we're freaking living nowadays.
yeah, but there's
The
a
replacement rate. Sorry, not the actual average. The replacement rate.
so two people to get one person
Because
replaces
the
two people.
natural replacement rate, which actually I think is around 2.3, natural
Mhm.
replacement rate is there because you're saying, just like the natural goes to the lizard brain thing of animals that have a really high mortality rate as babies, they have lots of babies. And so as we progress as a society, we have less children because we don't need to have as many, because really it just comes down to replacing the two of us in the mating couple. And so as that goes and we go more and more forward, I just was, fun speculation there that I think we're darn close to two, if not dropping below two, the way that people are living for so damn long now.
Yeah, yeah. Now I see what you were talking about. I mean, that makes sense. And but I want to that brings up a point though, because if you think about the origin of tribes began with the family in that family nucleus, and still exists in a number of places in the world. I mean, we talk about the McGregor clan all the time, and the McGregor clan is that larger extended family of McGregors. We not just our little nucleus family here with us, but also if you go to Scotland and other McGregors, because I always connect with McGregors that I run
Oh yeah.
across on LinkedIn or Facebook.
Even our Irish cousins who got kicked out of Scotland, like cousin
That's
Connor,
right.
we love them all too. They're still part of the
That's right.
clan.
Cousin Connor is still part of the McGregor clan, exactly. But that's how tribes got started. It started as a family nucleus. Oh, and by the way, Africa, uh, Afghanistan, those are still very tribal, and not just Africa as a continent, but several places in Africa, uh, generally outside the larger cities. It is still that way in the family nucleus, and the extended family is the tribe. And that's where the tribe came from. And now here we are in modern society, and the family nucleus is kind of blown up because we're all across the country. We don't, some families have that Sunday afternoon lunch or gathering every week sort of thing, or whatever. And then others, are more spread out and across. But there's always that need for just a little bit more interaction. Not to say that you can't just have just your family as your tribe, but what else? Who the people you work with. I mean, hell, the sports team that you love. I think back in,
How
you
about
know,
them Cowboys?
how about them Cowboys? 3 in a row. Who I wish I had put my bet in Vegas, 3.5 weeks ago. Oh my gosh. Uh, but
Hey,
when you
I've been
think
saying it for
about
3.5 weeks, and I'm going to keep saying it because at this point, if I stop, it'll be a jinx. We just got to win 8 in a row. We're going to go get that Super Bowl.
That's right. That's right. I mean, the Giants did it. How many years ago was that? The Giants had this terrible season and then won like their last 6 games and went out and won the Super Bowl. Or yeah.
It could
But
happen.
the point is the commonality has to pull that group together in order to form the tribe. That's what I was talking about earlier. What's that common thread that everybody has? Not just we all want to do good, which is also a good one, by the way. It's not to discount that one, because what happens in volunteer sort of things, whether it's, hey, let's all get together and help so and so, or
Right.
let's build this or do a park project. All those people, form a tribe because they have something in common and they work together to accomplish something. But what we're talking about with tribe and purpose is people coming together with that commonality to succeed, and then helping each other succeed on a continuous basis. Not just, hey, I had a great day last Tuesday, I'm out. More of I'm continuing down that path and getting clarity in my purpose. and understanding how it fulfills me. And because that fulfills me, I get so much out of it. I want to share it with more people.
Mm-hmm.
I want to teach more people, and I want to show more people how to have that clarity and how to grow and have their own success in what it is. And I think that's that commonality that pulls people together into a tribe that becomes powerful. Because I mean, you think about it, we can go into a little bit of baseball analogy, because baseball is one of the great sports to talk about the right fit of people. Rugby is too, because like Robert Owens talked about, hard work overcomes talent every time, right? And if you have that team, that tribe of people that works together, that is the powerful organization that will succeed every time, because they're working together. Now, people will come and go, because that's just what happens with people. Life events, changes, those sort of things happen, and people come and go. But the core purpose of the tribe continues on, and that's what pulls more people in and keeps the people in as long as they can, because they want to be there, not because they paid $100 to be there and they feel like, man, I gotta get my $100 worth of it. No, it's more like, holy shit, this was only 100. I'd pay 500 for this one. I ain't telling anybody. But that's the kind of pull you want to have in that situation. Is you want people to be like, wow, I can't wait till we get together again. Can't wait till that next call. I can't wait for that. That's the excitement that pulls people together and keeps them together, because then they have more and more. And like you said a couple of times before, and I've said it too, is that success breeds success, right? And build on success. Winning builds winning, and you win and you win and you win. And I'm in this tribe, and Johnny over there is kicking butt in his business. It's like, awesome, man. I'm feeling the energy from John, just kicking butt. And I'm also learning from John. What'd you do? How'd you get there? What were the best practices? I know we're in completely different areas of the world, completely different industries, but you know what? Best practices can pull through in any kind of industry, because they're best practices. Right?
Oh yeah. And that also, I think, goes into the importance of, I always use this example of for cross training, or I guess I got two good examples for it. You always talk about your time in the military of, everybody, no matter what your specialty was on your Green Beret team, you had to go and learn the different things, because everyone really had to do everything. And I can also say, in a very actionable sense, that was one of the best things I ever did for my short rugby career, was start learning different positions. Because when somebody needs to fill in a spot, you can go, I got it, and you can go in and do it. Or just like you're saying now, you can learn something and transfer it over to another position. But I think the really interesting example that we accidentally illustrated, and folks, this is not pre-scripted at all, was that little bit of exchange about the Cowboys. I don't know about you, but my energy level is up, because I'm excited. I'm feeling that win from Sunday again. I'm fired up. I'm ready to talk about Cowboys. And that's the same thing you get from your tribe. And when that motivation is success, oh my gosh, is that powerful, because everyone's working towards that. Just like how I want my favorite thing on a Monday morning is to be able to call you up and say, hey, how about them Cowboys? It's fun. It gets us energized. It gets us both excited, and we connect over it. It's the same type of thing when you have a tribe that's working towards success. It's sharing your successes, feeling in for each other. I get so excited when I see, one of my favorite players, Jalen Smith, make a big play. Like, oh my gosh, I'm excited for him. I've never met Jalen Smith. I don't know him that well, but he wears that uniform, and he's working out there for the same goal I am, even though I don't contribute near as much as he does. I just want the Cowboys to win. And when your overarching goal is your tribe's success, then you're going to be more successful in your life, because you're going to have that motivation, and those people are going to have that motivation, and you're going to get this same energy that we're feeling. And it's not just going to happen what is it, 6 times a year, because we only have 6 wins. It's not just going to be like that. It's going to be every single week, every single day, because you have that same kind of energy from different folks who are out there winning their own battles.
Yeah. Well, you made me think of something, celebrating winning. And I was just sitting there thinking, I can go out in the backyard and celebrate by myself all day long, and it feels pretty good. We always should celebrate. But it sure feels a lot better when I tell somebody else. I tell Miss Suzanne, hey, guess what? This happened. And she's like, oh, that's awesome. it's even better. And you think about that in your tribe, and you're not just getting that energy when somebody else succeeds, but you're also that one that's succeeding and getting the recognition and getting the attaboys. And in the same sense, when the shit hits the fan, you feel like crap. You can also go to them and say, dude, man, this sucks, and get empathy, because empathy is a powerful tool to help pull you out of the bucket of feeling sorry for yourself.
Oh yeah.
So you go to your mates and you're like, hey man, that big deal, I just thought I was this close to it closing. I thought for sure, matter of fact, I already put a down payment down on a brand new car because I was so sure of it.
Already had the event on the calendar in my case.
Yeah, they pulled out. They pulled out at the last second. Man, what am I going to do? Da, da, da. You know what? Your tribe buddies, the members of your tribe, are going to give you empathy, and they're gonna pat you on the back and say, "That sucks, man. We're here with you. Let's move forward." And that right there pulls you out of that bucket of feeling sorry for yourself, and so you can start moving forward again.
There's a distinction there that I think it's something, honestly, and I got this from my reading and doing the Daily Stoic. Give them a quick shout out. Going through a lot of Seneca and Marcus Aurelius quotes recently for understanding death and remembrance and those type of things. But one of the pieces they're talking about is just kind of what we're getting at here, and I lost my train of thought on that. Are you freaking kidding me? Gosh, that's the worst one I've had in a while.
Well, it's not regretting. So one of the things, and Viktor Frankl talks about this also, as well as the Stoics, is when you're lying on your deathbed and you look back, it's that old thing of, do you wish you had worked more, or do you wish you had done, spent more time with your family, gone on this vacation, gone on this, gone on that. It's that at the end of the day, and I'm not a big advocate of the write your obituary, every week or something like that. I'm not a big advocate of that, but I am a advocate of, when you look back and you reflect on the day, the week, the month, the year, do you look back and regret it? Man, I wish I would have. If that's part of your vocabulary, your phraseology for things, I wish I would have, then you need to look at that again. Why do you wish you would have? Do you truly wish you would have, or is it just a good idea? In that sense, I wish I would have gone to more Avalanche games. Well, nah, not really, because that's a lot of work in the end. I think I went to plenty of Avalanche games, in that sort of sense of the thought process, and not regretting it, but not in the sense of lying on my deathbed, visualizing being on my deathbed. That's just not how I like to do it. I like to be a little bit more positive. I'm also in the same sense of, if I die today, in that sense, would I die regretting my life? Now there's a deep philosophical thing to think about.
And I think honestly that hits it more where I've taken memento mori, and what my literal application that I've realized I do is, a lot of the time when I go through my to-do list at the end of the day and I do my daily reflection, I start planning tomorrow and doing those type of things. Which, by the way, even just doing that is a huge step forward for anyone's productivity. If you haven't tried it, try it. But I started sitting there and going, okay, well, I'm not waking up tomorrow. How'd I do? And thinking like, okay, well, that was it. Was it good? Did I walk the dogs enough today? Did I spend enough time with my fiance? Did I get enough work? If I was gone tomorrow, would the work keep going? How much did I communicate well enough? Am I keeping it all concealed? Is it down on paper? All those type of things. And when you start thinking like that, you start living way more proactively, because you start thinking like, well, shoot, I got to get this all out now. I got to go spend time with my fiance, my family. I got to go walk the dogs. I got to call my friends. You got to do all of that, because you never know when you're going to, not be able to do it. And that's really the easiest definition of memento mori. And that's how I'm actionable about that.
I just changed that word gotta to wanna.
Yeah.
Very true. It's Miss Suzanne and I talked about this the other day. It's changing from I need to I want to. And, kind of going back full circle to extrinsic drivers. When you say I need to, that's external. but I
That's
want
coercive.
to. Hmm?
That's coercive.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
someone else
exactly.
cracking the whip on you when you say
Yeah.
that.
Or even a perceived person, perceived thing. I need to lose weight. Well, why do you need to lose weight, or do you want to lose weight? I need to, buy a new car. Do you, or do you want to buy a new car? I mean, yeah, there are times, yeah, your car breaks down on the side of the road and costs $15,000 to fix it. Blah 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 blah. You might need to buy a new car,
Mhm.
but do you want to? You don't have to. There's plenty of other things.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge shift that we all can have is when we look at things and using that word, I need to do this into I want to do this. I just shoveled, just plowed the driveway, shoveled the walk, that sort of things. And did I need to do that? No. I wanted to do that because you know what? It makes the driveway nicer, makes it safer for my Amazon packages to arrive or a friend to stop by and
Right.
whatever. And I like the way it looks. I
Well,
do it because I want to, not because I needed to, but because I want to.
mhm.
And I think when you start to look at things like that, then you start to become a heck of a lot more satisfied with who you are and what you have, which is so important because if you're not satisfied today, you won't be satisfied tomorrow if you
Right.
get more.
You know,
So,
I really I think for me this is an interesting one because it's like so many times, and I don't think of myself as a self-help speaker in any sort of way, but occasionally when I'll say something and I'm like, oh gosh, that put it on a card, it sounds bad. But what I think the difference is that a lot of people miss when they talk about things is they make it sound like it's just okay, I'm going. Hey, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's it. What next? They don't talk about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps every day. They don't talk about getting a little bit better every day. And that's what these things really are. And I think that's, I'm being showing some humility on this because I messed up on that. That's something I'm consciously working on. It's not struggled. I'm not struggling with something. I'm challenged by something. I don't need to do something. I want to do something. But that's a conscious change that takes time and it takes effort because going back to that lizard brain, there's literally neurological highways in my brain that want me to say certain words after other ones. And you got to change that. And that's not an easy thing to do. And you have to be okay with that incremental progress. Just like we were talking about for the New Year's goals. When you have something that's your purpose and you want something, and it's really intrinsically motivating you, you're okay making those incremental steps because you know what you're going towards in the end. Whereas when you have those extrinsic factors, you're not okay with incremental steps because you want the satisfaction right away. You're not willing to wait for it.
no, that's good. And sorry, my mind was just thinking, I was trying to remember the athlete's name, the football player's name, post game interview. I'm pretty sure it was the Broncos because they lost again. And because they deserved to lose because they did stupid stuff. And reporter basically asked, "So what are you going to do? To get better, make it better, make it work." Da, 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 da. And that was basically what he says. Well, we just got to pick ourselves up and move forward to the next week. And I'm thinking that's why you keep losing, because if that's your plan, we just got to pick ourselves up and move forward. That ain't gonna work for us. And you just have to keep going forward, but you have to look at why do you have to. This player is getting interviewed after the Broncos lost again, and they asked what can you do to get better so that Broncos can start winning again, and his plan was to suck it up and do it again. And my thought was, well, that's why you keep losing, because that's all. If that's your plan, I'd like to think that the coaching staff probably has a better plan than just suck it up and move forward. Which, yeah, you got to suck it up and move forward, but you got to look at what needs to change, because if you keep losing, if you keep missing your goal, if you keep not achieving your outcomes that you want, then you got to look at what's your plan. What actions are you taking that you control to achieve those outcomes, and are they realistic? And that are the outcomes realistic? I'm not going to, I don't know, have a multi-million-dollar New York Times best-selling book within the year. Okay, well, that's a great goal, a great vision to achieve. And yeah, you might be able to, if you focused everything on it and did there's a lot of things to it. But generally speaking, that's an unrealistic, vision.
Right.
I hate to be in the realism, but I am a bit of a realist, The glass ain't half full and it ain't half empty. There's just half of it there, right?
Yes, sir. Well, and I think, and I'm going to give the Broncos coaching staff some credit on this and assume that they're on the same page as we would be as coaches. But I think that's the interesting thing to kind of explore on this is, what do you say to players after a loss? And I think the underlying assumption of what that player was saying was that we are on the path. I need to suck it up and keep going on the path. That's really what the distinction is whether or not you're on the path or whether or not you're just doing the same thing. And if every day in practice you're trying to get a little bit better, and every game you're trying to get a little bit better, and you're okay losing, really, because you know that you're moving down that path. This isn't the hot wash after the game. This is the day after the game, after your 24-hour break, where you get to sit back and go, okay, well, our tackling was really good. Damn it, I switched to rugby without even thinking. Our scrum looked nice. Lineouts need some work, but you can start breaking down those things and then see the improvements that you need to make to continue to move forward on that path. But that's a coach's job. Every time after a loss, if you want to have a successful franchise, dynasty, team, whatever you want to talk about, if you want your team to be successful, it's your job as a coach to remind them that they are still on the path towards success. Whatever that success may look different now. Hey, we just got eliminated from the playoffs. Now we're on next year's path to success, and it's slightly different. But you have to be able to realign things like that, because just like in a tribe, you have to have that goal you're going towards. You have to have something everyone's working towards. If not, then you're just going to keep spinning your wheels and you're just going to suck it up just to suck it up, rather than sucking it up but trying to get better and, taking those licks but trying to get better the whole time. And I think that's the difference as a coach. And that's where a tribe and a coach can be really similar there.
Well, it's trust in the process, right?
Right.
And in the end, what is if you Denver Broncos are a tribe, and they are, what's the commonality? There's several commonalities that pull them all together, but they also have a common purpose, and that is, to win a Super Bowl, as every NFL team does, or if you switch over to rugby, in the top 14 winning the Heineken Cup, or Six Nations, or the World Cup, or things like that. They have a commonality to pull them together, and then they have a common purpose to work towards together. And in this sense, when we talk about tribe and purpose, I'm not aware of any World Cup competitions in this sense, or Super Bowl and Lombardi trophies or anything, but the purpose that holds the tribe together is the success of everyone in the tribe. I've been in tribes in the past where I've thought, their business is struggling a little bit right now. And I tell you what, if I could just achieve a little bit more in revenue and have a little bit more growth, then I would offer that person to join my team and, do it that way. And that's the kind of commonality and not togetherness, but that bond. That's the word I was looking for. Look, the bond that holds the tribe together is just that sense. Not in the sense of, me sitting over here looking and seeing, Johnny's got all this success and I'm hoping Johnny hires me. No, I want to have my own success, but also in the same sense, if you have the right people in your tribe, then that's what they're going to do. They're going to figure out a way to help you succeed. And it may be, part-time gig with them or full-time or whatever's the right fit. Mm-hmm. But they're going to look to figure out how to help you have success too, because that makes them happy. That's the right people in the tribe. That's being surrounded by the right group of people in your tribe.
And when you look for success, you'll find success, and especially if you've had success recently, right? That's something that I think when you're in, and you'll have to get the exact IPEC energy level for this one, but when you're at those top energy levels and you're having success and you're feeling success, you see success everywhere, and it's so powerful to have someone around you like that, even if they're not in your business. And I think that's really what this tribe can offer in that sense, is if I came in and I just had a big win, you better believe I'm going to see every single opportunity for you. And if you're coming in a negative way, then having someone else to point out those opportunities for you can help you to see the success and start to go towards it. That's the difference there. The negativity, when you're on your own, that negativity can build and it can fester and it can keep going. But when you have someone else who can come in and help to bring that up and help point out those successes and then help you to build on top of those, that's when it's really a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm gonna wrap us up on this because this has been awesome, and as usually happens when we do these sort of things, we can continue on for quite some time. But I'm gonna, man, the other thing I've noticed when you and I do these is I don't take very good notes. So what I learned is how extrinsic can become intrinsic, and how you can use that through some conscious effort to shift yourself and have it pull you. Because intrinsic is going back to the want and need, or I'm slumbering the words. Extrinsic is the difference between needing. That's extrinsic is need. I need to do this. Intrinsic is I want to do this. And how can you shift that and look at things more with an I want to do this attitude as opposed to I need to do this? It's a great mental game. I guarantee if you start to look at things in that sense, start to say, I want to do this instead of I need to do this more and more, I think you'll be a heck of a lot happier with what you do throughout your day. And that is success, and that leads to more success.
Definitely.
So what'd you learn, Cam?
So I was going to take this from something you were talking through as a kind of a lesson. So many people you'll say, and I know you've told me this probably way more times than I'd feel comfortable admitting on this show, don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't sit there and feel sorry for yourself. But I think the interesting thing about that is that a lot of us, just like how we talk about your message just totally threw me up on that, I'm going to be honest. So just like we talk about the lizard brain and things having purpose, right? You're just messing with me at this point. Send me another message during it. No, so just like we talk about having your different motivations and things, there's that lizard brain that's really telling you how to do things, right? And there's a nuance to how most of those things go. When you sit there and feel sorry for yourself, you feed that negative loop and you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. But that doesn't mean that you don't need empathy. That's the distinction there, that you can go and you can vent. You can recognize that in the long run, that venting is not useful. But you can also recognize that in the short run, that's what you need to start working again. What was it the other day? Oh, the grill we got, y'all got me for Christmas from Lowe's. And I spoke with the nice lady on the phone, and I knew she had nothing to do with the fact that my grill wasn't showing up, but I was very upset about it. I called up a couple people, and I bitched and moaned for about 5 minutes, and then I got back to work. If I hadn't done that, I would have still been festering all day about, that damn Lowe's, I want my grill, and it was supposed to be here 4 days ago and all this kind of stuff. But when you vent and you let that out, you get that empathy, and then you can take that empathy and you can take that positive energy and start to build onto the positives and create a positive feedback loop rather than a negative feedback loop.
Get yourself out of the I feel sorry for myself bucket, right?
Right. And but I think the weird thing, and it's kind of counterintuitive, like I said, is to stop feeling sorry about yourself, sometimes it's useful to have someone else feel sorry about you for a second. And as long as you're like I said, as long as you're still conscious of it and what that actual effect is, you know what I mean? You don't want to be the person just complaining all the time like that, because then you're never actually using it into a positive. You're still feeding that negative cycle.
Yeah, well, it's the old adage, we used to say back in the teams is misery loves company.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole lot of innuendos into that of how to build a stronger tribe. That misery, everybody goes through the same misery to become a member of the tribe, or we just survived in a foxhole together in the Battle of Bulge in 1940, December 1944, and all these sort of things uh, come from misery loves company, but also in the same sense of that empathy. Misery loves company. I feel sorry for myself, and when you get empathy from other people, how that can help lift you out of that feeling sorry for yourself. So, Cam, this has been a lot of fun. I'm excited. By the way, we didn't say anything about this, but Camden is also partnering with me in Tribe and Purpose. He's gonna be part of the Tribe and Purpose team as we go forward, and we're launching first thing. Ironically, we're using the Julian calendar year after I badmouthed it, the Julian calendar year to launch Tribe and Purpose, because sometimes a mark on a piece of paper with a date is an easy way to set some deadlines.
Just like we said with the lizard brain, just because it doesn't mean anything, or just because it's some stupid lizard brain thing, doesn't mean you can't use it, right?
That's right. So look for, we appreciate y'all listening. Look for Tribe and Purpose out there in the internet world and the social media world. We're both excited about what it's going to do and how it's going to help people find their purpose, build their tribe, and live a more happy and fulfilling life. So with that, Camden, run us out.
All right. Thank y'all for listening to today's show. Special thanks to our sponsor, Verbi Virtual Events. You can check out recent episodes of The Cam and Otis Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, and check out a full archive at thecamandotisshow.buzzsprout.com. The Cam and Otis Show is on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks again, and we'll see y'all next week.